But thirdly, I find that many are uncomfortable talking about God's judgment of sin. And when you start speaking about the end times prophecy, you're talking about God's intention to hold the world accountable for its rejection of the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's just that simple. That many people all kind of operate under the idea, well, all dogs go to heaven. And maybe they do, except for mine. But maybe that's true, but that doesn't apply to all people. Because God says there is a choice and there's a consequence of that choice to receive or to reject. But Isaiah warned, he said there would come a time, he said, well, they'll say to the prophets, give us no more visions of what is right. Tell us pleasant things. Prophesy illusions. And if there's anything that describes our culture, the church culture today in America, it's this idea of tell us nice things. Tell us how to live my best life now. And we've also seen many events that have almost led to the extinction of mankind. Especially what we're talking about right now is a thing called pandemics. Now, what's the difference between an epidemic and a pandemic? An epidemic is a disease that we can handle. A pandemic is when it gets out of control. And historically, pandemics have been really dangerous. In the 6th century, half the Earth's population was wiped out by a pandemic. Half the world's population perished in the 6th century. In the 14th century, half of Europe died from pandemic. In the 20th century, we know that it began with over 5% of the Earth population being destroyed through the swine flu epidemic. My grandfather on my father's side was one of the victims of that. 5%. Somewhere between 50 and 60 million people around the world died between 1918 and 1919. And the reason we are reacting so quickly to the coronavirus, even as we speak, is because the 21st century is predicted to have a mega epidemic that will lead to the death of at least 33 million people. And yet we shouldn't be totally surprised by that, because Jesus said this was going to be the natural order of the world, a world that is suffering under the toxic poison of sin. That the world that we live in is big and it's beautiful, but it's also a place that is filled with pain and suffering and loss and disease. That we are not progressing upward and onward, but we're really on a death march towards ultimate catastrophism. That's why in 2 Timothy 3:13, Paul made the statement. He said, things will not get better and better. He says they will get worse and worse.